If you find yourself thinking, I want to make a mega dungeon, but those things are really big and they're complicated, and I'm sure that takes a lot of time. First off, you're right. A mega dungeon is a huge project that will take ages to make, but it can be fun the whole time. And in order to be not as daunting, you kind of just have to break it down into smaller, more manageable chunks. Each of those chunks is going to sort of allow you to take it apart and just work on one section at a time, and then you feel like you've done something. You did the outline, then you did level 1, you did all of these different things. So in this stream, we're going to try and sit down, and we're going to work on an outline for a mega dungeon. If you're watching the VOD, I will put a timestamp and you can go skip to whenever the stream gets good, but for now, we're just going to sit around for a bit and talk about whatever, nonsense comes to our mind. Does that make sense to everybody? Hello, and welcome to Mystic Arts. My name is Daði. I'm a professional writer and director, and I've been DMing for over 10 years. How are you folks doing? I forgot to eat dinner, so I have a bowl of food in front of me, and occasionally throughout this stream, you might see me reach for a little bit of food and eat it. I'll try and make sure not to eat it in such a way that you all hear me eating it. But, that's how it's got to be. I'm very excited. I just booked my tickets to UKGE. So me and Abby are going to go to the United Kingdom in just a handful of weeks, and we're going to go through go to UKGE. We're going to play some games. We're going to go walk the convention floor and meet like-minded people. We're really excited about that. Bug earrings. That sounds awesome, Bajel. Kvöldi Valur, ég sé allt fínt. How many dice sets are too many? There's no such thing. More dice, more better. Gott kvöld, Rockmaster. Yeah, you guys like the animation? Naigobi made all these. She sent me like a whole asset of things. There's also a weight screen and stuff, but we'll get to it if we get to it. She just sent me that animation out of nowhere, and I had my own theme tune stuck in my head for ages. It was kind of awful. Close up of the food. No, the food is my comfort food. It's like fried wieners and chicken tendies. It's not good. Mega dungeons are trending right now. That's awesome. I had no idea. Jetolo, yeah, I am working on a big production project like a movie or a video game. I'm working on a video game, but I'm not going to talk about that until I'm allowed to. So for the moment, I'm afraid all you can get from me is D&D stuff. A mega dungeon for Mouse Ritter set in an anthill. That's awesome. That is great. I've been looking at a lot of like those... Maybe I should save this for when we actually start, but I might just repeat myself. I've been looking at a lot of those sort of cross-section maps, and I think they're really cool. So I'm going to go open a few of them up while we're yapping here. Mega dungeon. It is a fun word to say. It's one of those. I think it's a bit of a loaded term, right? It's how big does something have to be in order to be categorized as a mega dungeon? I don't know. But loads of people, I'm sure, have highly developed opinions on it. Did I just change my desktop background? No, okay, that's funny. For a moment I thought I might have. T. Grandam asks, have I ever had a period where I burned out on D&D and had to take time off? Yeah. Like DM Burnout is a real thing, and we make a lot of videos on this channel, and a lot of times people are concerned that we're about to head into YouTube burnout. And I also work a lot. I I have a day job and I really like it and I spend a lot of time there. So there's always work for me to do. And burnout is kind of this thing that people use to describe this phenomenon where you don't feel like doing anything. Suddenly the joy isn't coming anymore. And I've gotten that, and usually I've gotten that quite frequently. I'm fairly good at seeing it coming. But I also am fairly good at pushing through it to a certain degree. Not to an unhealthy degree, I should say. You definitely shouldn't push through these kinds of things. But on occasion, I can see that I'm about to get anxious, or I'm no longer feeling joy from it. So I take a little break. I tell my players I'm not going to run this one campaign or one adventure, but I often run another one. I often end up switching things off. I might take time off, but I also might just say, okay, we're not gonna do this adventure right now. We're gonna take a week or two off, and then by the end of it, I'm usually raring to go again. When I am, then I get excited to run. Because what I often realize is when I take time off is that I really can't survive without it. I love this stuff. I love all of it. I love D&D. I love running. I love making YouTube videos. I love my job. So I really just get stir crazy when I take a break. The video on exploration is inspired. Thank you very much, Koala Bro. Did I make all this stuff by myself, or do I have folks to collaborate on these ideas with? Yeah, I mean, I present all of this to my players, and we all test these things out. All the documents on the Patreon are edited by my collaborator and co-writer and good friend Magnus. So he helps me go through all of these. But also, hex crawls aren't new. There have been countless articles, videos, and other things made on it, and all of them have their own takes. And I watched, I don't know how much, and read God knows how much, and these are my takeaways from those things. Yeah, Nick, exactly. You get pulled back in. Switching genres often enough to cleanse the palate. Yeah, same. Like I often get very excited just by a different game. But then I can also change genre in a game. If we're going through several sessions of something and it's starting to get stale, that's when I introduce something else. You can often get out of burnout. Now, if you're genuinely feeling awful, this isn't advice for you. I'm not your therapist. But a lot of the time, what you're feeling is not burnout. You're feeling like it's just not exciting anymore. Like it's stale. And at that point, what you should be doing is figuring out what is making it dull. Can I make it more fun? Can I put something in here that gets me excited all over again? Can I introduce a new plot hook, a new character, or whatever? Can I drop something in that makes me suddenly excited and thinking about 50 new things I could do? And once you get to that point where you start being able to create your own excitement, you're kind of unstoppable. So when you pick up on something like this, if you're feeling burnt out, don't take care of yourself. But if you realize what you're feeling is not burnt out, you're just bored. You just think it's stale. Do something radical. Dirty Leviathan asks if I'm going to Gen Con in Indianapolis. No, I was planning on it for a while. I was really excited to go. I've been wanting to go to Gen Con for years and years and years. But at the moment, as somebody who lives in Iceland, going through United States customs and immigration and all that seems a little terrifying. With them checking personal items and being especially rough on foreigners, I thought it best to avoid the whole situation entirely. So we're not going to Gen Con. We're going to UKGE instead. I asked earlier how big you folks think a mega dungeon is. I got one answer, which was about 15 rooms. It says Valur. He says it in Icelandic, but nobody understands that, so that's no good. except me. Mwah. And then somebody else said it's a place. Yeah, Fork said you have to take multiple long rests and play for dozens of sessions. That's sort of what it is in my head. You know, if you're in it for, you know, a handful of sessions, that's just a big dungeon. Not a 5-room dungeon, regular dungeon, but then there's mega dungeon. And for me, in my mind, I think a mega dungeon is the one you kind of have to leave and come back to and go in and go out. Grandmaster Ruckus says a mega dungeon should be able to support, in part, at least a campaign. Yeah, I think that's kind of the attitude I'm taking with this as well. Something with many levels that vary as you go deeper. Yeah, I think that's correct. I think a mega dungeon, in terms of my sort of gut understanding, is that a mega dungeon is you go in and you find new themes as you go along. It's not the same dungeon the whole time. It's got variety baked in. Hey, that's great to hear. Juice box. I got it. Out of the Abyss could be a mega dungeon? Yeah, I guess. Technically. Very technically, though. I mean, I think the only sort of proper 5e mega dungeon is the Dungeon of the Mega Mage. Dungeon of the Mad Mage. Yeah, 50 rooms, multiple floors. Yeah, exactly. I think that's sort of what I'm thinking as well. I think it's got its own scenes in it. It's all good. This is informing the decisions we're thinking about. All big thoughts. Big thoughts. Yeah, I don't know. I'm told that I should start these streams by talking extemporaneously while people join in. I can see the people are joining in, which is fantastic. Hello, everybody. But I have a hard time talking about nothing without getting focused on the project I wanted to do. Hey, Mattman. Mattman. I have to say, thanks for sharing your knowledge. You're absolutely welcome. Thanks for joining us. I'm running my first homebrew story. Hey, first homebrew world. Awesome. I make it sound easy at times. You know, it should be easy. It should be easy. And if it isn't easy, it should at least be fun. And I think you can get to a point where it's both easy and fun. I think if you're not there already, you're going to get there very quickly. Hades is a mega dungeon. Yeah. I haven't played Hades, but from what I've seen of Hades, yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think that's sort of what it is. I think what we need to do, if we're going to make a mega dungeon, we're going to need to make sure that it's got layers, it's got different themes in every single level, or not necessarily every level, and it's going to have multiple levels. So I think that's kind of going to be our goal. Wondering if there's some topic I can yap on for another 5 minutes. Anybody have any questions? Otherwise, we're going to get straight to it. Thais Mathiasen asks about ideas for a marionette master boss creature. Well, I assume you're going to have to give it dominate monster and have it take over the barbarian or fighter and have him attack the other players. If you're not doing that, you're a fool. You're a fool. You have to. How's your day? My day's fine. I got a haircut. It's very short now. Might be too short. I don't know. Avi said she wanted me to grow it out again. Sometimes I have very fluffy hair. But I told her that I'm not going to do it during the summer, because then my head gets hot. And I don't want to be a hothead. Will I make a video on magic items? I hadn't thought of it. I don't know if I have any advice for magic items. Gonna be, yeah, I don't know. I have no plans on one, at least. But if I think of something, I'll make sure to try and not disappoint you. Safety last. Next video teaser. Next video is going to be 5 types of exploration. We're not going to do a bonus video tomorrow. Sorry, everybody. But the Thursday video is going to be 5 types of exploration, where we end up talking about the dungeon, and then we're going to talk about dungeons the week after. Dirty Leviathan asks if I use Legend Keeper. You know, I don't know if it was also you who asked me about Sky Zephyrs, but remarkably enough, this stream is sponsored by Legend Keeper, which is absolutely hilarious. I think I have like a coupon code or something you can get. You know, I should prepare these more for when inevitably somebody asks me. No, I don't have anything from Legend Keeper. Ha. So no, I shouldn't start an ad read unless I have the code. I thought I had a code to give you folks, but I don't. I'll go chase that down. Eventually we'll talk about Legend Keeper. You know, one of these days I'll learn how to stream. On the video thumbnail, was that the dungeon from the Holmes Basic book? It might be, yeah. Yeah, it is. How do I handle hiding invisibility rules? Right now I'm running the rules as written. I'm not entirely sold on the 2024 rules as written hiding invisibility rules, but I'm giving them a go, and right now they're not bothering me too much. If they ever do, I'll go homebrew a solution, but at the moment I'm just doing rules as written. All right, that's enough of this gay banter. To quote the goat. Whoa, hang on. Whoa. Sorry, I'm clicking too many buttons. If you're watching the VOD, this is probably where I timestamp you in. Welcome to actually, yeah, Dirty Leviathan. Absolutely, send me your Legend Keeper stuff. I'd love to have a look at it. Put it on the Discord if you're on there. Welcome to Dungeon Mayhem, a phenomenon named by one of our subscribers, Bearcat18. During the month of May, we are going to be looking at how to make dungeons and how dungeons can be fun, and I'm going to try my best to convince you that if you don't love dungeons already, you should. So this is going to be talking about mega dungeons, as our streams are in general. The goal of this stream will be to outline a mega dungeon from start to finish. Because that is kind of what we do during May. At the moment, we're going to do a whole bunch of dungeons. Because right now, whether you like it or not, I am not Daði from Mystic Arts. This is an illusion. I am Daði the Dungeon Guy.
Daði the Dungeon Guy.
Daði the Dungeon Guy.
Daði the Dungeon Guy.
Subscribe to D&D rules.
Daði the Dungeon Guy.
Welcome back to Smash.
Clearly agile, sneaky, intelligent, powerful. I'm on the bed already.
T-minus 5 seconds.
Daði the Dungeon Guy.
Welcome back, everybody. I was able to sneak in some food just then. So we talked about in the ramble that we were just doing that a mega dungeon has to sustain an entire campaign. Now, I am currently running an entire campaign, and it is not a mega dungeon crawl, but it could become one. And in that dungeon crawl, I want there to be loads of levels, and I want to connect it to the rest of my hex map. That adventure is set on this fairly huge hex map. And I had the idea that because my Underdark is a different setting, it's a different plane, which I'm certain I stole from someone. If I had to guess, it's Matt Colville. And that Underdark plane has various different connections to it, which are not all one-to-one. So you could go into the Underdark in one spot and come out hundreds of miles away the same day. What I wanted to do with this dungeon is I wanted to create a sort of Underdark hub, which had connections into and out of the Mega Dungeon, into the Underdark, and into the rest of the campaign map, both inside the hex crawl we're doing, and beyond it. But in order for the players to unlock those shortcuts, that fast travel, which we did last time, both into Menzoberranzan, into Zanzanite, into Gracklestug, and into different parts of my map, and into Blackmoor, which is a nearby Dwarven continent. In order to unlock all that, the players are going to have to crawl through the dungeon and find those portals and move between them, right? So I wanted to show you some side view maps, because this is something that I love the idea of doing. Let me see if I can put myself into another plane, outer space. There we go. And click this button. There we go. So this here is a like a side view of a dungeon underneath a ruined keep. You can see there are two towers, and there are stairs that lead down, and then there are these chambers. I don't think this is a mega dungeon. It doesn't look like a particularly mega dungeon. But this is kind of the stuff I'm talking about. Let's have a look at a few more of these. This is the one from the Holmes Basics set, I think. You can see there's Great Stone Skull, and there is first level, and then first level again, and level 4 appear twice. Yeah, it's a cross section, exactly. You can see there's an entrance, there's like a lens, a window or something here. I haven't run this, I haven't read this even. But you can see 5th level, 6th level, and there is an entry from this pit into the 6th level that bypasses everything. Cool. Probably perfect for putting a dragon in. I remember running Forge of Fury. It was a lot like that. The bottom level had a dragon in it. Spoilers if anyone's playing Forge of Fury. Bottom level had a dragon in it, and then there was a pit that the dragon could come into and out of. But the players were unlikely to find the pit. If they did, and they found a way to get down there, they'd be able to go straight to the 6th level. And then there's the 7th level here. And you can see there are loads of these kinds of maps. You can, if you go look up Mega Dungeon cross sections, you'll get a bunch of these. And remember, this is like a side view. It's not a top-down view. You can see the stairs that connect everything, these sort of corridors, and it becomes this kind of maze, which also means that when you're playing in it, you don't really know where you're looking or where you're going. You just sort of look around and are exploring, right? And it becomes this kind of fun bit of discovery where you're trying to figure out where the heck you are. Here's another one. I don't know where most of these came from. I just Googled a bunch and I'm looking at them. You can see there's water here, and the water in this area and the water in that area connect. But there's no way you'd know that unless you could, like, swim through the water or whatever. You can see here, here's another one, the Sewers of Sarakesh. And you can see there's this dungeon here, which, if you don't notice this secret path, is self-contained. And then there's this dungeon, which has this path down here. And they both have these caves, and they lead into this monument one, with this water in it. But if you go underneath the water, you could find this secret skull room with this bottom layer here. These are all so cool. So, I'm not an artist. I'm not that good at drawing. I don't know that I could make something that looks this cool, but I don't have to. All I need to do is start by outlining. So I have opened up this little Photoshop document here. And you can see I've drawn these two mountains and this hill. And let me see if I can't pull up Neener. This is the hex map. My players are really not allowed to watch this video, but there's a mountain range here in the middle. And this is Starkheim. This is the location of our mega dungeon. It's in the dead center of our hex crawl. The entire hex crawl goes into that mega dungeon, right? But you can see there are other things connected here. There's the Mine of Fallen Clans, which I think is home to giants. There is Vexer Deinonychus' lair, which is home to a Draco Lich, and a very powerful one. This grinds my gears. I've always been annoyed at the fact that the Draco Lich seemingly is not as powerful as neither an ancient dragon or a lich. So my Draco Lich is going to be better. It's going to be scarier. Stronger. And then there's this Forsaken Forge down here. These 4 exits are all a part of the same dungeon. And they connect into various other bits on the hex scroll. So if you missed last stream, that's it. You're caught up. So we've got this sort of side view here. Actually, why did I close that? I'm going to have to reopen it. And just have it on my second monitor. Just heard my chat go doot. I don't know that I'm gonna just gonna close it so I don't hear it go doot. Here's my notes that I started writing last time. All it says is I know it connects to these other bits. Oh, and the old quarry. That's fun. I forgot I was gonna make it connect to the old quarry. That's cool. So ultimately, what I'm looking for is a way to connect all of these things. Oh, hey, JV. Welcome. Thanks for joining. Thank you so much. So I know... I just have this kind of brush here. So I know that this is the sky. These are the mountains in this mountain range I was showing you. These are the foothills, and we're going to put a few indicators down. This is the brush set I've been using. I've mentioned it in the comments of some of the videos where they show up. I don't remember off the top of my head what they are, but I can actually, if I just go here. If you're watching the VOD or you're watching the stream and you want to know what these brushes are, I just put them in the chat. Go check the replay. So I'm going to put a little house here for the Forsaken Forge. I'm going to put a little tower up here for Vexer Deinonychus' lair. And thank you so much, Fork. That's incredibly generous. You really didn't have to, but thank you so much. And everybody who's just became a member, welcome. Come by the Discord. Say hi. Really appreciate the support. All of this goes into helping make the channel better at what it is we do. Here is the Starkhelm clan, sort of tucked between these peaks. I'm gonna erase that bit of the mountain right there. Nerd. There we go. And erase this bit here. Nerd. And we're gonna put one in for the giants as well. We're gonna put them on this mountain peak, and then we're gonna put them on the wrong layer. And we're gonna go nerd. Hang on, I put them on the wrong layer again, and I was about to do it a third time. It's a good thing you don't have to be smart to be doing what I'm doing. There we go. Here we go. Look at that. Okay. So here we have some exits and entrances. And we are going to... Is there a bucket tool? Yes, bucket. Dang it. Oh, it's because I deleted everything. Merge layers, bucket. There we go. That kind of looks a little like those classic dungeon maps already. So we're gonna go. Actually, can we get the bucket and just click one more time? There we go. Oh, gross. Let's not do that. That's fine. Now I have no idea how to begin this. It's the tough bit, right? Knowing how to start. Hang on, let me feed myself some dinner. I think starting with a map might be a distraction. Here's the lesson, folks. As soon as you get to a wall and you're like, I don't know how to proceed, move, pivot. If you're sitting there looking at a map going, how the hell do I start the map? That means you don't have an idea yet. So you go over to your notes document. I'm currently using Obsidian. Exactly, William. We get some notes down. Outline. What do we like the idea of? Well, I know that at the bottom there is the Earthheart Forge. That's a forge from official Wizards of the Coast. It's where the axe of the dwarvish lords can be destroyed. So we know that, and we know that the Starkheim Castle, the thing on the mountain, is something. And we know that there is this Forsaken Forge, which I don't know. Is that a different thing? I'm not sure. We know that there is the Mine of the Fallen Clans, and that the Old Quarry are here. Right? Now, the issue with an outline like this is that it's linear. If I knew how Obsidian worked, I would be able to now open up a tool that I have, and it allows me to edit non-linearly. But I don't know how Obsidian works. I'm just a little novice, so I'm going to delete these bullet points because right now they're in the way. Oh, and we have Vexor Deinonychus' lair. Oh, and the Sunless Sea. Well, yes. So there's an entrance to the Sunless Sea here, and there are entrances to the Underdark. That's correct, everybody. Those are not necessarily layers or levels, but we know that there are several Underdark across this chamber. No, across this dungeon. So what is... Let's define our terms. Vexor Deinonychus' lair. A lair for a Draco Lich. An old service station, mining station. The Mine of the Fallen Clans is a lost mine, now possessed by hill giants. I should say in the possession of hill giants. The Starkholm Castle, I think we could do something really basic with. We just have to make sure that it is a classic sort of dungeon crawl, in that you go into a castle and it's full of the local monsters who have now moved in, right? We go to Moria. What's in Moria? It's not a bunch of dwarves, it's a bunch of goblins. Hey Ken, thanks for catching us live. I like his lair to be deeper, and that gives him undeads as feeders into the ecosystem. I think that's probably correct. I think thinking of these as all one dungeon is a mistake. I think basically, here's the secret, right? Remember we were talking at the start, we were saying the secret to a big project is that you have to break it down into small chunks. So going mega dungeon, level 1, that's really scary. What instead we're going to do. So, outline, Starkhelm Castle. Taken over by goblins. Mine of the Fallen Clans is a lost mine. See what I'm doing, folks? Not only are we taking the project of making a mega dungeon, splitting it into smaller sections, we are taking the dungeon splitting it into smaller sections. This also means that when our players go through this, they hopefully will not experience the feeling of, oh my god, this dungeon goes on forever. It's session 26 of opening doors and stabbing goblins. If you find yourself in that situation, you've gone wrong somewhere. And if I put you in that situation, I have led you astray. What you want to do is you want to take these and put them into little chunks. And take those chunks and put them into smaller chunks, and then smaller chunks and the smaller chunks. That's how we're going to do it. So we know that the Starcom clan... Oh, hang on. And Earthheart Forge, where artifacts can be created. How do you eat an elephant? One small bite at a time. That's right, everybody. You get it. So, I've now run into an issue. We now have all of these dungeons. And my gut instinct is that this is not enough. Because, and here's the kicker. Looking at this map, I want some levels in between, like we saw in those dungeons, right? I want that sort of classic map of dungeon levels inside. So we want to figure out what those middle levels are. So I'm going to put in middle levels, and we're going to have to figure out what they are. Matthew Willis says mega dungeons are just many small connected dungeons that interact with each other. Kind of like TTRPGs are many smaller games making up one game. You are absolutely correct. Words cannot describe how completely correct you are. D&D isn't a game, it's games. Aren't these just the surface levels connecting to one bigger, deeper mega dungeon? Yes. But as soon as we say it connects to one bigger, deeper mega dungeon, we have failed to break that up into chunks. So actually, these are the surface dungeons connecting into the middle dungeons, which connect into the bottom dungeon. Blimey. Holy crap, Agile Monk. Thank you so much. That's incredibly generous. Thanks everybody who's gifting memberships. And if you're getting a membership right now, welcome. Come check out our Discord. If you connect your YouTube to your Discord, you can come hop on, say hi to everybody, see if you don't like it. Because I'm sure once you have a look around, you're going to find yourself enjoying it there. It's an incredibly vibrant community, and there is a channel just for sharing pictures of cats and dogs. So come along. Thanks so much, Agile Monk. Thank you. I really appreciate it. What are the middle levels? Well, I think I need to be thinking of this like a train station. Because Vexor Deinonychus' lair, I don't think, is on top, actually. So I want to go and say I think this is a train station. Not an actual train station. There are no trains. But literally like an on-off ramp for other cool places. Nick, you're absolutely correct. The cats and dogs might be the best channel. Worm tunnels. Yes, that might be cool. I'm going to see if I can eat another bite of dinner real quick. Train station from the Matrix. Yeah, exactly. Connecting once never connected dungeons. Middle levels could be the blends of other levels where they overlap. World between worlds, example, there are tunnels dug by other creatures. Yeah. So I think I think top levels and lower levels is also a bad way of thinking of it. When I'm writing, I rewrite a lot. I like going back and revisiting and getting better tools along the way. So these aren't top levels. These are entrance dungeons. These aren't lower levels. These are destinations, right? Or destination dungeons. And the middle levels are the connecting dungeons. Somebody said purple worm tunnels. I think it's a great idea. Traveling here. Walking with rhythm. I don't know how to spell, but that's fine. It's not my job or anything. You might alert the worm. Brilliant. What else we got? Mushroom forest. Awesome. Troglodyte grotto. Yeah, that's fun. I don't know that it's a connecting dungeon. So, actually, let's just go... Idea dump. Troglodyte grotto I'm putting over here because it's not a theme. It is not something that is easy for me to then build a dungeon around. It is a type of bad guy that I can absolutely go put in loads of these places. I love trogs. Are there trogs in the new monster manual? Side quest. Trog quest. Trog. There are. Oh yeah. Yeah, I remember seeing that art. They are very similar. In fact, they're about the same, except for the fact that they lost their chameleon skin. Oh, and they gave the climb speed. That's cool. Trogs can climb. Oh, and their attacks do a bit more damage, but they just get 1. Not sure about that. CR stays the same despite all this? Funky. Loads of ideas in chat. Man, I should... Why did I ever prep without chat? That seems like an insane thing for me to do. Old mine shafts. Brilliant idea. The mine shafts. Right? That's a theme I can do. Fork says 5 levels with 3 to 7 5-room dungeons each. Yeah, something like that. A geode. Yes. Yes. There's a whole plot line. That's genius, William Dickey. There's a whole plot line in my adventure right now, considering geodes. Catacombs. The waterway, yeah. These are fantastic. Is waterway one word? Giant ants, we can put them in here. Oh wow, a bunch of ideas. Hey Pete, welcome to the show. Could the Earthen Heart Forge be a volcano that the dwarves harvested? That sounds cool. I think I've insinuated as much even, but forgotten about it. The Boneyard. So there is a boneyard outside the dungeon. So I won't be going with that one. Lava rivers. I'll put it in. Now you might be thinking, this is a lot of ideas. This is so many levels. Oh my god. But we're going to write everything down because we can always take these things and put them into other things. We can combine them. We can actually say the geode is one of the destinations. What are those guys attracted to wealth from the Underdark? I don't know what you're talking about, but if you're talking about Zorn, I love Zorn. Let's put Zorn in here. Trade Bazaar. I don't know that's the dungeon, but we could put a bazaar of some kind. But I think basically that's going to be wherever we put an entrance into an Underdark city. They kind of serve that way. The waterway could lead to the Sunless Sea. Yeah. And the word mushroom forest is everywhere now. Ancient Starkheim catacombs. Yeah, we got catacombs in here. Temple of a Forgotten God. That's very cool. That does exist in another part of the another part of the dungeon. No, hex scroll. So we're probably not going to do that. Natural air ducts to lead between floors. They sound cool. I'm going to put in here just what are some connecting elements that aren't dungeons? So, air ducts. Dwarves mine. Yeah, we have a mine shaft. Acid swamp. Acid swamp. Acid swamp. You know, we have 4 of the elements here, which is awesome. I'm running a fairly elemental campaign. Golem Forge. Golem Forge. It's like this. I don't know. Where is the Sunless Sea? It's in the Underdark. Sewer systems. You know what we're missing? We're missing the, just where the dwarves used to live. Like not the Starkheim Castle, but the Starkheim City. I don't know that it's a city, but it's like, you know, a settlement. Yeah, these are cool. Wow, Zyro. Thank you so much. Go. Jesus Christ. Thank you. That is incredibly generous. Good heavens. I'm gonna have a little bit of think about my life choices. Wow. Well, that's a full quarter of the stream in gifted subs. Welcome everybody. Welcome to the show. Go ahead and go over to our Discord. Thank you, Zaro. It's still going. It's still. I'm just gonna, you know. You're Argentinian. That's funny. Thank you. Wow. What am I eating? These are fried hot dogs with cheese and sauce on it. This is not dinner. This is a food for child. So I think we have a whole bit of like I think what we've discovered is that this can at this point support an entire campaign. Maybe the purple worm tunnels lead to a purple worm nest. Yeah, absolutely. We'll think about those things in a bit, but I think you know, might alert the worm, you know? Purple worm. Did I bring enough to share with the class? I don't know. There's like 190 of you. That's crazy, by the way. But here we are. Will I be sharing this excellent information? At some point, I'll post work in progress versions of this or whatever. Golem Forge. Forsaken Forge, Old Quarry. Alright. Air duct, somebody said. Yeah. Yes, that's what we're... Other connecting elements. Air ducts. Big hole. Vertical. Mine shaft. Did you lose the geode? I think it's here. It's here. I just moved it. I don't know yet if it's a destination dungeon or if I want to separate out these elemental dungeons at all. Underground waterfall. Yes! Put poisonous gas. Thank you, Valor. Rifts of Magic. I think we're gonna leave our portals in the Underdark sort of part of the dungeon. Hey, you're incredibly welcome, Mulfar. Thank you, and welcome to the show. Onomancer stuff? Maybe. So the thing with these dwarves is they're very different from the Venkaran dwarves. Underground rivers, BRG says. Well, we have the waterways. Which I should say here, leads to waterways. What are these, you know, leads to mineshaft. Big hole. Is that different? I don't know. Air ducts. Actually, we don't have an air element thing. Fake magic entrance. Connecting element. Buried tower. That's awesome. Hi, Fork. Welcome. Thank you so much. Buried tower. That's cool. Oh, that's a fun breakable wall. A library. I'm gonna put a library here as well. Zip line. Yeah, let's do a zip line. Oh, that's fun. Lightning caverns. Yes. So I'm going to put waterways back up here. And down here I'm going to put... One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19. Bookshelf door leading into the library. That might be fun. I think it's actually like a stone tablet style library. So these dwarves, the Starkhelm clan, they aren't your regular clan of dwarves. They're not. They have beards, obviously. Let's not be ridiculous. But they aren't. They aren't the ones we talked about in previous streams. The ones that have gyrocopters and stuff like that. They're actually more. They're more primitive. They have all of their language is in hieroglyphics. They are not a part of any other pre-established dwarf culture. That way they can sort of be their own. Minecart tracks. Yeah, I think we're going to get them into the mineshafts. Yeah, so they have hieroglyphics. I think their knowledge is all in stone, etched in stone. I don't know what wild hammer. I don't know what that is. Wild hammer. Wow. Maybe. I don't know. I couldn't really answer. Underground ravine. Yeah, I think that's the... I wrote down big hole, but let's call it ravine. So this is a lot, but it's fun. Giving these things some names. What do we call a dwarven? Areas of wild magic. I don't know. I think we have a really good selection of stuff right now. Frozen lake. That's cool. We could do that. Would sort of cover the elemental area, but I don't think we need another big room. Lava rivers. I almost want to do this in Miro. Is that crazy? A big prison. We could put that in here. Not a big one, just a small prison. All right, I think we have enough ideas. I think we've gotten down all the really sort of excellent classic things we need in here. I think the catacombs, I'm going to move up here to the city. So some of these are like big rooms, you know, mushroom forest. I think that sounds like a big room to me. But some are more like a series of connecting bits. Buried Tower goes hard. I really like that. Same with like Acid Swamp, Geode. Well, Geode's just gonna be like... Are there people living down here? Yeah, probably, but The clan is largely in ruins. They're probably held up somewhere. I just don't know where. A husk of a massive purple worm. That's cool. That's pretty cool. What we also want to do is we want to make sure some of these elements take a long time to go through. I think it's a lot of these sort of... I think we're almost making a point crawl that connects to dungeon crawls. We don't necessarily want them all to be kind of... we don't want them all to be constantly moving in 5-foot grids, right? Because that would just make the dungeon seem small. We kind of want it to be enough that it could encompass these huge regions. So like getting into the lightning cavern, that's this huge underground thing, and it might take an hour or 2 or 3 to cross. I don't know. A calibrated gnomish catapult system would be gnarly. Yes, I think it would be gnarly. I don't think it belongs personally, for me at least. Artificial sun? No, I think we've got our... I think if we put anything more in here, especially on that scale, everything else is going to pale in comparison. Hello, Cookie Dude. So, destination dungeons are the kinds of dungeons that players will hear about and want to find because of obvious value within. Finding them and clearing them. Finding them is the major challenge. Inside, the rewards are bountiful, right? So you've got these destination dungeons, and the idea here is, the reason I put Geode down here and not up here, for instance, is that if I tell one of my players he's a summoner, that's a class we're making, he's a summoner, and he's able to do all this kind of summoning, and he does it all through this Geode. So if I tell him there's a gargantuan Geode in here because he read it off a tablet or something, it has obvious value to him. He will want to go there. He will want to find out what's going on with that. If I tell them that there's a lost library in here full of ancient knowledge lost to history, they will want to go find it. The elemental dungeons are a really bad category, so I'm going to get rid of them, even though we have a few. That's fine. I'm not going to get rid of the dungeons, just the category. The entrance dungeons are dungeons that you can see from the surface. That's it. The connecting dungeons are... high in danger, likely in random encounters, to drain character resources, and unlikely to provide a tangible reward, right? So what's happening is these dungeons are going to be fun. They're going to have some stuff in them, some good stuff, some bad stuff, but they're mostly going to have bad stuff in them. Bad guys. Because they are not the reason we're here. They are not here to explore the catacombs. They will want to explore the catacombs because they think it leads to the lair. That's what it's about, right? They want to go explore the lightning cavern because they're fairly certain the geode is in there. That's what it's about. Should you note how many entrances and exits you want in each? Yes, so some point we're going to have to go look at how they all connect. Right now, we might need to do that next. I'm not sure. 1, 2, 3, 4. I think the... I think this tower we had over here, it says Vexer Deinonychus' lair. I think the lair is inside, and I think there's a tower here. Narandi is an old name for an old elven name for this region. Deinonychus' lair. Obviously, then Obsidian is like, this is not a word, and it's right. I have no idea what the word is, so I probably should have just. Hang on, I put the apostrophe on the wrong side. It's like there are many Vexer Deinonychi. Oh, it's the same. No, his name is Vexer Deinonychus. It's his lair. You know what? I don't know. We're gonna have a timer on the players, like how White Plume Mountain sends a few orcs every 20 minutes. I don't think so. I'll probably do it based on in-world time. But I'm gonna be fairly strict on in-world time. I assume in this dungeon I'll end up using dungeon turns, but that is neither here nor there. Let's carry on. This is huge, massive. Oh, that's it. That's the right way to spell it, Ruckus. I've lost it. I don't even know where it is anymore. What's dungeon turns? I think that's beyond the scope of this video, but basically you mark down a little box every 10 minutes, and then you use that to track, 10 minutes in IRL or game terms. You mark down and you say, this much time has passed, and then you can use that in blocks to tell how many hours it's been, whether the players need to rest. Is this a whole adventure? Yeah, like if you're running D&D, this could be a whole adventure. In my campaign, we level up very slowly. Something I would not recommend you do unless you have players who are extraordinarily on board with you and you've played with for like a decade. I have that kind of group, and I told them, listen, I want to level up very, very, very slowly. I want to spend ages in this world. And they said, you're the boss. Oh, I missed a member. Idealine, welcome to the show. Hi, thanks so much for joining. We really appreciate the support. I'm happy to help, Draconic Player. Another thing I want to do here. I want them to be able to secure places. For some of this, that's easy. But let's say that, if they clear out the castle, there are no more goblins in here. That's it. It's safe. It might repopulate unless something happens or somebody goes in or they settle it or something like that. But for these connecting dungeons, I want there to be something they can do to secure them. So, because I think I'm basically going to run a lot of random encounters here. So, an obvious example is the Purple Worm tunnels. The only danger in the Purple Worm tunnels is, will the Purple Worm show up? If they kill the Purple Worm, I think that means they've secured the Purple Worm tunnels. They are relatively safe. I want to figure out what that is for everything. But we don't need to do that immediately. So we got this map here. Hang on, we're gonna have another little quick food break while I think what I want to do next. Nobody look at me. What's for lunch? Ken Robinson, I'm in Iceland. This is my dinner. In fact, it's 9 p.m. over here. Dead Adventurers Camp. That's cool. Yeah, let's put that. Do I use tags at all? No, I use very few features of Obsidian. A lot of people who use Obsidian, they want to teach me and make me a better Obsidian user, and I applaud them. But I don't know if I'm ever going to learn. So, I think we have a pretty good structure here. That's a good question, Grandmaster Ruckus. What section of the dungeon came first, and which section came next and upset the status quo? The Starkheim city is kind of the hub. What I've done here is that now I have this picture in front of me, and I feel like it's too precious to futz with, which means it is no longer a useful tool. So we are going to graduate it to Miro. Miro is a digital whiteboard, basically, or corkboard or whatever. And it's kind of like this area where we can have our thoughts on here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make a little text bubble, and I'm gonna call it. Actually, that's not what I want to do. And get a little bubble like this. Starkheim City. And I'm gonna say it's blue for connecting. I'm gonna make this huge. Maybe not that huge. We're gonna lock this. Make sure I don't miss out on chat here. How difficult will it be to leave the dungeon? They can always go back the way they came. So what I want with this mega dungeon, I'm not trying to stick them in here and keep them in here. This is a part of a hex crawl. They're going to be going into the dungeon, doing a bit of dungeon crawling, learning about stuff, going out of the hex crawl, back to town, selling all their loot, going on a different expedition, ending up in another dungeon, going down and discovering, hang on, this is the same dungeon we were in. And they're going to go back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and they're going to find this complex underneath the world, which is this underdark, underground cavern system. There are more connecting dungeons than entrance or destination dungeons. Is that intentional? Yes. Furious Dan asks an excellent question. There's an idea in dungeon design called Jack-Kaying the dungeon. We're going to look at this basic home set. This is an idea that originated, it was a term coined originally by Jason Alexander. Jason Alexander is the actor. And you can find his blog, thealexandrian.net, and he talked about this idea that Janelle Jacquet was an exceptional dungeon designer, and she would make these incredible connections between levels that were not linear. So if you look here, you can see the only way from level 1 to level 2 to level 3 is this same path, but between level 4, there are 3 different connecting joints, right? And then there are 2 ways to get into level 6. You can get even more intense with this. You can have there all kinds of different paths. And it makes the dungeon into a maze, which means there's now gameplay. If your dungeon is just room, corridor, room, you're not really running a dungeon. You're just running a railroad and you've painted it to look like a dungeon. What you want is a bunch of ways to go, a bunch of rooms connected to it, and a bunch of ways to go. So we've got these entrances up top, and we got these bottom destinations. Maybe they're not at the bottom, maybe they're somewhere else. And then we have this maze. And the maze, and navigating the maze, and understanding the maze, that's the gameplay. That's the dungeon, right? So, this is, I think it's Starkhelm Castle. Not Starkheim Castle. I think it's Starkhelm Castle. And I think this here is Starkheim. The city. And I think that's fairly big, right? The reason I'm doing this in Miro is because I can take these boxes and I can sort of move them around. Da-da-da-da-da. Fabian Gerhardt's on your Humblewood campaign. I would look into converting it into a point crawl. You're gonna have to do some googling on this. I don't have a video on this yet, but you're gonna find your way to the Alexandrian, and I think you might find that useful. At what stage do you note down the factions and what they want? I think that's a good question, Matthew. I think I might be jumping the gun a little bit. Right about now is when I should be thinking about the premise. Ba-bum. I'm gonna make sure to bold all these. And I think Starkheim is just there. I think it's just underneath the surface. Right now, I don't want to spend too much time on this because basically any work I do here is a little bit superfluous until I figure out why there is a dungeon. I don't have a premise yet, but I can make my life a little easier. So, Mine of Fallen Plans. The idea of the Underdark being a different plane of existence. How do you explain that in game? Jeremy Little asks. I don't understand the question. Could you ask it again with literally more words in there to clarify what your question is about? The VOD will be saved on the channel, yeah. Starkheim. Starkheim I'm going to put up here. I'm going to put these catacombs. Somebody suggested sewers. That might be alright, but I don't know. Maybe they're here. You know. I think Starkheim is like a big fucking place. There we go. I'm gonna turn these green. Green. There we go. Buried Tower. So the reason I'm doing this on Miro is because then I can also just do stuff like this and not worry about it. You know what I mean? I can just sort of chuck these things in. I'm gonna really quickly dump everything in here. I know I said I wasn't gonna, but you're not my boss. Geode circular. The destination dungeons are also not all at the bottom, right? It's not 5, 5 and lines between. It's this kind of maze. That's what makes it exciting. Buried Tower is exciting. I like that. I think the mine shaft's probably this sort of big kind of connecting bit here. You know, we'll figure all this out. Lava rivers. I don't know that that's like a dungeon as much as it is like a feature I could put somewhere. But acid swamp. Swamp. Big ass swamp. Waterways. But you know, even if it's just a connecting bit, we might also get inspired by the idea and then think that there's a lava chamber in here somewhere, right? Actually, that sort of puts it right there-ish, I assume. Buried Tower, Mushroom Forest. Can't forget Mushroom Forest. Best forest. And then somewhere away, there's also the old quarry. All right. What a bloody mess. The Noman dwarves dug too deep in their greed for wealth. Yes. Yes. But that's not a whole premise. That's the start of one, but it's not a whole premise. So, let's put down a little idea here. Premise. A premise, according to the guys who made South Park, I forget their names. Trey Parker and Matt Stone, they say you don't have a premise until you can say but, and then, and so on. Right? First this, then that. The dwarves dug too deep. Then what? What happened? In the Lord of the Rings, Balrog, right? But we don't have that. We don't have it yet. So, the Starkheim. No. The dwarves made a deal with the Dracolich to save their dying empire, and now they find their dead rising. That's cool. That's dope. They tapped into the elemental chaos by accident. I think that must be correct. And yeah, I think so. I think several things happened. Right? I think they talked to this Dracolich. They talked to this Dracolich. I like how the logo appears every time. That's so funny. They talked to this Dracolich and they made a deal. There's also the elemental chaos. There's also the whole Underdark thing. And I think those three things are sort of essential to the premise. And our premise has to answer all three. Otherwise, we have three premises. And that's kind of a lot. But we can have three dwarven bad guy factions. One faction went and talked to the Dracolich, and now has an undead problem. One faction went and talked to did something elemental chaos, and one faction went and dealt with the Underdark. Now you've got these three things that all layer on top, and they become a part of this whole problem that they're dealing with. They become these various things that the dwarves are having to deal with, and the players are discovering these bits of the dwarven culture, these bits of their dwarven problems. But how did they get there? What made them so desperate that they had to go talk to Vexer Dananicus? What made them so desperate that they had to go unleash the elemental chaos? Maybe they unleashed the chaos and then went and talked to Vexer Dananicus, but we have three plots. So I think something happened that they had no control over. It might have taken a long time to happen. It might have been a slow pressure. And then the factions respond by doing these three things. And then everything goes to shit. Right? That's our premise, and then it pulls out everything from there. They had a societal split with half delving deeper and becoming the deep dwarves. I don't know where Duergar in my setting come from. I haven't figured it out. Maybe this is the answer. Maybe that is the answer. Now, whatever we do with the premise, it's got to come down to that sort of basic thing of there's this pressure cooker. There's this thing that layers on top, because that's how problems come up. There's a thing, and there's no response, and it cooks down. It pressures into the structure of everything. And then people freak out, and they all have different answers, right? How do we solve the existential threat? Well, obviously, we go talk to the Dracolich, you know. The forge was becoming colder, indicating an impending explosion of the volcano. That's dope. The giants were attacking the dwarves. Yeah, I think the dwarves would have been able to handle the giants, were it not for existential threat. The forge becoming colder is good. What's up, Captain Speakeasy? Forge becoming colder is good. It might also have to do with some of my lore stuff. Maybe that needs to be the answer. Like the Atroxians, the nation outside these mountains. Maybe they were the final nail in the coffin. They don't have to be the be all end all of the dwarves' problems, but maybe they are the reason things are as bad as they are. Was the Dracolich a Dracolich at the time? Yeah, Dracolich has been a Dracolich for like a long ass time, for like 1,000 years, 2,000 years, for some ludicrously long time. I think it's dormant. I don't think it's like actively liching around right now. Fungal infection, water supply. Yeah, I think the answer kind of has to be the forge. It's the heart of all of this. The reason it's a good idea, Jan, is because the dungeon ends at the forge. It would be weird if that wasn't the premise. The premise has to deliver you to the end. So it has to be the forge. You're correct. What problems an isolationist dwarven empire would have? Yeah. Yeah, Furious Dan. Like, so, those are all good ideas. I think they're all separate answers. Like, Faction 1 made, abused the elemental chaos to reignite the forge. Faction 2 bargained with a Dracolich to use magic to reignite the forge. Faction 3, I don't think they're the reason deep dwarves exist. I think this is a more new problem. Faction 3 reached out to the Duergar. Backyard car builds. The Dracolich is not related to the elements. These are two completely different things. There's a problem. The forge is going out. What do we do about it? And that's where political disagreement comes from. In any situation, when you're thinking about politics, political disagreement doesn't come out of nowhere. It comes from the problem. The forge is dying out. What do we do about it? We go talk to the Dracolich. We go summon the elemental chaos. These things have nothing to do with each other except they come from the same problem. This is the same true in all politics. What we're doing here is we're creating factions. So what defines factions is politics. What color is it? I have no idea. Black, probably. In the new DMG, Dracolich is not a template. Doesn't matter what color it used to be. But I'd have to go check my notes. Red dragon. Used to be a red dragon. Why would the Dracolich want to make a deal with the dwarves instead of just killing them? They must have had something. They bargained. What did they give away? The Dracolich wanted control over the forge. I like that idea, Lothar Tree. That's good. No. If the dwarves just block them. Well, that means they're the good guys, though. Maybe that's faction 4. A 4th faction. Faction 4 hunkered down in the depths. Right? Now we just gotta name these factions. Give them leaders. Put them somewhere in the dungeon. And use the create deck. I don't know what starts the forge dying. I think it has to be the end of the last war. That means it started happening about 27 years ago. That's fairly recent, right? But the thing is, we know from playing the adventure that other factions have some experience of the Starcom clan. But they haven't had them for a while. I think Maurizio, I think just souls. The problem is, I think they awoke the Dracolich. I don't think the Dracolich was awake. Sounds like the Dracolich and the Duergar are fighting for control over the forge. I think you're probably right. Following the end of the last war, magic changed, and their forge started dying over the course of a few years. Desperate for a solution, something to reignite the forge, the dwarves fractured politically, reaching out to different supernal forces in the hopes of reigniting it. Reigniting the forge. Now, hang on, I'm not sharing my screen. I'm sorry, you've just been staring at my face this whole time. Terrible. Now, I should say today. Duergar, undead. What else has been in here? Giants. Elementals. Goblins. Yeah, there are goblins in here. I don't think there are goblins in the lower levels. Could be. Deep gnomes. Rogue golems. Golems. Yeah, same. I said giants in here. I don't know that I need them down there. Maybe they're stone giants. Stone giants. And other creatures. Of the Underdark. See, I don't... What I'm looking for basically are factions. Kobolds. We could have kobolds. Purple worm, that's right. I think what I'm looking for is like faction groups. You know, something I can give a headquarters to. So actually, I don't think that includes elementals, elementals, eat your lentils, trolls, ghosts, ganassi. Purple kobold. Maybe. Kobolds are legally required in every dungeon. You know, you're right. Kobolds. We'll put them in one of these things though. Forge, kobolds. Or here? That might be fun. They're likely to be here at lower levels. There's a Myconid faction. Yeah. Good call, Bearcat. Remembering the Mushroom Forest. I think they're fire giants. I like that idea. Drow, yeah. They're drow. That's better than the golem in terms of factions, at least. I think that's a pretty good spread. There might be other factions. There might be factions from the nearby area. The Hexcrawl map has like lizard folk factions and orc factions and stuff like that. They might all also be in here. Bat people. Why aren't there bat people in the monster manual? Can you make me some bat people, Muffin Hydra? Thri-Kreen? Nah. Thri-Kreen are really cool. To me, I don't know that I think they kind of belong, if I'm being perfectly honest. But that's just a taste thing. Warforged, that's cool. I was gonna say I can't do Warforged. I've got a whole plan for him, but actually, that plan would be way cooler if it happened in the dungeon. If you've never run a mega dungeon before and you don't really know what the appeal is or anything, I want to remind you that you don't have to. A dungeon doesn't have to be opening doors and stabbing things. You could be in an underdark cavern with no sunlight, exploring, and then open a door and there's a whole small little faction of Warforged that have been huddled up in here for the last 7 years, and they've been here since the last war, going, "Oh my God, who are you people?" You could do all that. You could do all that in a dungeon. You could do politics and factions and schemes and plots and everything. There is no reason that a dungeon has to just be open door, stab thing. You know what I mean? Okay, so faction 1, 2, 3, 4. Can we name them? What are we gonna name these people? Mindflayer colony. No, I've run Mindflayer so much. I might do a Mindflayer, but I won't do a whole colony. That's just because I've run them a bunch. I love them. I really love them. Aboleth. Could put an Aboleth in here. Alright. Starkhelm Castle. Starkhelm Castle, not Starkheim Castle. Starkhelm Castle has been taken over by goblinoids. This mine, hill giants. Quarry, kobolds. Sounds good. Let me go to the... I know the Vaxir Danaticus has an heir, which is the red dragon in the adventure. The Blackened Hand. That's awesome. Returning Light. Cool. Encounters in Locust County. Karnvexican. Karnvexicar. I think I'm going to change it too. I haven't said it out loud, so I'm allowed to. Karnvexicar. Yeah, I like that idea. Sauron, the Dark Lord. They have a kobold leader. Draconian. The Rekindlers. I kind of like that one better. Returning Light. The Rekindlers. I don't know about Blackened Hand either. Reignited. I like that it's a verb. Rekindlers. Hello, DM Dungeon Mastery. I wish... Ooh, the Obsidian Road. That's fun. The Obsidian Road. Blackened Hand. Now I kind of want to... Rekindler is now a different shape than the other two. That's probably fine. I think the fourth faction is called the King's Men. Or the King's Guard. They're still a dwarven king, and he didn't want to do any of this. And I think that guy is probably just a fairly neat egg. Garrick Starkhelm. He wants to go to war with the elves, but you know, I don't think we should hold it against them. That's just dwarf stuff. That's what they do, right? Alright. Troglodyte Grotto. We can put it in the forge, maybe? Or the tower. Where do we put the trogs? I think Starkheim City kind of has to be, you know, all the factions coming, right? It's really dangerous. It's the center. It might be impossible to secure that area until they've cleared out the dungeon. I don't know. Also, the elves probably deserve it. Yeah, the Night Font are not the coolest. That's true. Welcome to the show, that guy with some great ideas. I remember some of your great ideas. They were pretty great. Buried Tower. Troglodyte Grotto. Take over the city, they have to ally with a faction to help it secure the city. Yeah. I also think the King's Guard should be at risk of dying fairly early in the adventure. We gotta put them in mortal danger. And we gotta make sure that there is a risk that those guys die, because they're basically the ideal allies, right? Without them, they might have to go make a deal with one of the others, and they're all kind of morally gray, closer to morally dark. Yeah, poisonous gas. We poisoned their asses. Let's get a monster for each of these. And let's try and avoid any, like, you know, what's in the acid swamp, and the answer can't be elementals, because they don't have thoughts. You know what I mean? They're just like evil cloud. We don't want evil cloud. We want somebody they can talk to, somebody who I can monologue. When it shows up, they can do a little monologue. King's Bulwark. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, and I don't think you can really work with the Blackened Hound. Like, those guys woke up a Dracolich and they're all zombies now. Clay Golems could be nice, but I can't monologue ask them. Yugoloth. Bullywugs. I do like Bullywugs. The new art for them is all like Feywild, which I like even more. So I might not. But a Yugoloth. Slod. Maybe Slod. Maybe Slod, though. I don't know that it... I kind of want to save him for something else. My problem with Slod is I never feel like committing to Slod. I'm always like... I'm sure there's a better scenario for him. Here I am just eating on stream. Also, ideally, we get a sentence for each of these that is an adventure. You know what I mean? Like, these are Myconids, good guys, fighting for their lives against some outside force. Now, this is a Star Trek episode. You show up in the Mushroom Forest. Here's what the problem is. Adventure. You know what I mean? That's brilliant. If we can get one of those for each of these things, this will be the greatest adventure in the history of mankind. But I don't know that we can. Copper Dragon. Copper Dragon, good guy. Let's do this as an exercise, folks. Let's have a look at the big list we have, right? And let's go, can we get either good guy or magic item? But problem. Myconids, good guys, are fighting for their lives against outside force. What is the outside force? Now we have, and it doesn't need to be any more complicated than that. PJ Meacham, malfunctioning terraformer from an enemy faction? Maybe. But I'd be perfectly happy if the answer is just Kruthix. Or something. Something that could fit in the Mushroom Forest and feel like it belongs. The Buried Tower is a perfect place. It's a perfect structure to navigate. Is a perfect shortcut through much of the dungeon. But it's also the home to a large troglodyte tribe. If we get the tower, we have a shortcut. But it belongs to a troglodyte tribe. Right? So, frogs versus myconids. That's fun. Lizard folk in the swamp. Copper Dragon is hiding in the swamp from invading lizard folk. I have my own lizard folk faction, the Quexel Cast. They're in here, right? That's cool. It's a great idea, Sir Gentleman. Cool name. Cruel Fey Court. I think it's too big a scale. Ideally, this is something that players could do in a session or two, not more, right? Each of these things, if we do it right, each of these things is a session or two, and it creates this mini Star Trek episode where they go in, they have a whole story, beginning, middle, and end, and then they get out. Hey, that's a pretty good idea. Instead of lizard folk, we can get the lizard folk somewhere else. But it's a copper. It's a copper and a black dragon. That's cool. And I don't think it's a lava river. I think it's a lava, like, power station of some kind. Control every entrance and exit from the power station. This power station, phrase it correctly, right? Is essential to controlling the Earthart Forge, but it's under the control of cruel fire giants. It is perfect for this, but you know what? You know what I mean? Lava dam. Yeah, there it is. What other areas is the swamp connected to? That's a good question. We could go back to the Miro board and see if that inspires anything. But I don't know. I know that. Oh no! There we go. I hit some button that apparently closes everything. And my music's gone. I feel like I've been decapitated. What's going on? There we go. Nerd. Music. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm listening to music. There's no music on the stream, but I have productivity music, which I can share here with you. It activates my brain. Without it, I'm like a toddler, unable to act of my own free will. What if the mine shafts are above the city? That's kind of whack, right? Still don't know the exact shape of this. That's okay. A lot of what I do is just hop between to see if I can't get myself to be excited. I think the lightning caverns are like statically, somebody said statically charged, which I think is a really cool idea, but I think that basically means that it's a pain to cross, but once you figure out some trick to it, you can just do it. How do you stabilize it? I don't know yet, but it probably has to do with the geode. Could be a dynamo for the power plant. Carry a lightning rod on a wagon? Yeah, that might work. Yeah, that's more like a Furious Dan. Yeah, I don't know which one we're going for. The trogs shouldn't be in the tower. We should put something else in the tower. The trogs are all over the mine shafts. Right? Something else is in the tower. Something big. Something that's... It's not just the trogs. Because the tower is a self-contained thing. I think the threat in there should be self-contained. The mine shafts are so big and wide. I think I'm basically going to run the mine shafts like a point crawl. Like you go in, you make some checks, you get out. Right? So, I don't know. I'm actually going to say home to 6 different troglodyte tribes. That way they might be able to work with one of the tribes. Again, I'm always trying to think of like a Star Trek episode. You come in, there's like 6 different tribes. What are they like? Can we work with one of them? Do they all suck? Basilisk creature living in the tower? Maybe. Could be a hydra. We only got a handful left here. I don't know what the Dracolich holds. A Medusa. Party level? Undetermined. This is going to last several levels. I think there's a hydra in the waterways. What would a Dracolich hoard? Souls is cool. Tiny furniture. Don't know about that. Could he hoard magic? Is that something? I want it to be something the players want. I want to be able to tell them the Dracolich has insert blank here, and I want them to go, ooh, we gotta go fight the Dracolich. Get the thing. Ooh, a Naga. We could put a Naga in the tower. That's cool. I think there's just the one big geode. Ooh. Yeah, that's a good idea, Red Dog. These texts describe the ancient history of Ariston, the Elmwood, Narandia, and their borders. If only the library could be found. Let's get the Medusa in here. Beholder. Yeah, that could be cool. We gotta get a beholder in here somewhere. Hydra, Trog. This one's just environmental. Fire giants, black dragon. What's the phylactery? That's a good question. Crystal dragon? I don't know. We never really did much with crystal dragons. We only have the one in my setting that we know about. It's cool though. That's a good line of dialogue. That's funny, sorry gentlemen. Yeah, I'm gonna put that in. Purple worm. Man, this is just a who's who of cool monsters. Isn't that how it's supposed to be? Not just, it doesn't just say orcs everywhere. We got orcs somewhere else, right? Just a who's who of cool, dope monsters. Beholder in the tower? Okay, then we gotta find a place for the Naga. Naga can be in the catacombs. Not just a regular beholder. A death tyrant. Why did I make it so complicated for myself? Vexor, what the shit? There we go. Okay. It's the point of Mega Dungeons, right? Yeah, exactly. You round a corner, new dope encounter. Yeti, Sasquatch, Wendigo. Not in the dungeon. But definitely outside the dungeon. Death Knight, maybe. I've run a Death Knight fairly recently, but I wouldn't be opposed to doing another one. I don't know what this outside force is. Death Knight might be too tough this early. Like, the buried tower is... We can put a Death Tyrant in there, tell them there's a Death Tyrant in there, and that would be that. But Catacombs... Like, a Naga is fairly tough, though. I don't know what's fun to put in a mushroom forest that isn't myconids. Anywhere for Banshee? No, I'd be happy to just keep that somewhere else, like some in the hex scroll. Let's have a look at... I'm not going to stream D&D Beyond because I don't want to be attacked by the bad guys from Red Dead 2. But let me have a look at BizFan's Dragon Book. What I got? Emerald, Crystal. Yeah, Crystal is just a type. Okay. Deep Dragons. Amethyst. Amethyst might be the way to go. Oh, that's... Oh, hang on. I clicked on the wrong thing. There we go. Crystal, deep. Now you're just looking at nothing while I look at stat blocks. You know, one of these days I'm going to learn how to stream, I swear to God. Psychic Step. Typically neutral. Singularity Breath. Damn. Yeah, I don't fuck around. Chaotic Neutral, Starlight Strike, these are cool. Deep Dragon, Nightmare Breath. That's fun. Spore Salvo. Let's put a Deep Dragon into the Mushroom Forest. It's a lot of dragons in here, but it is called Dungeons and Dragons, isn't it? Oh yeah, I was looking at the Crystal Dragon. Man, I wonder what it's like to not have ADHD. Okay, the Eye Dragon looks really goofy. Whoever suggested it, I don't know if I'd be able to not laugh. Yeah, I don't know about this. An Amethyst Dragon I do kind of like the idea of. So I'm going to change that. Hi, Siriamon. How you doing? We're making a mega dungeon. Zuktmoy. That might be cool. Yes. Gold Star, JV. I think we've got it. I think we've got an idea for basically everything. I don't know what's in here or in here. These are goblinoids. Hill giants. Kobolds. I need 2 very low-level monsters. Something classic. Forsaken Forge. This might be where we put in those lizard folk. Did we move the Naga somewhere? Yeah, it's here. We might just... Umberhulk. Yeah, Umberhulk. We'll make, at some point later, we'll make a random encounter chart for this dungeon, and it'll include all those fun things. But I just want to figure out what the stories are. And Umber Hulk isn't really good for a story unless there's like a lot of them. Violet fungus, bugbears, gnolls. I love gnolls. I think they have to be in this bit. Necrohulk, fungal, violet fungus. We did those recently. I don't know. We did that in that other dungeon. I don't know what to put in here. Maybe we just ditch this whole encounter. Just keep the Death Knight. Forward operating base for the Quexel cast. And we take this out here. All the factions come in here. I think that's it. Yeah, the reason this is a forward operating base is just because I have it's over here on the map, but the faction I'm linking it to is the green faction. So they've sort of extended their tendrils, right? Is too much variation bad? Maybe. Maybe, Skunky Bud. If it starts to feel chaotic and random, yeah. But here's the thing. Here's the bit that we haven't done. We haven't made this. We've just written down a bunch of cool ideas. And if each of these ideas key back to our premise, we're good, right? So if Skunky Bud, if you're playing through this and you go fight a Naga and then you go fight a Death Knight and none of these things are connected, yeah, it's gonna kind of suck. But if you're running through this, you're playing this, and the Naga knows something about the Starkhelm clan, or knows what happened, or knows about the bargain they made, or we stick in these factions that we did here, the Rekindlers, the Obsidian Road, the Blackened Hand. We don't have them anywhere in here because they don't belong to any one area. They're all over the place. We stick them in, and then we stick clues to them in, and then you fight the Naga and you hear about the Blackened Hand. Now the Naga isn't just a random pit stop where we whack, 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 get XP, get loot, walk around, whack, whack, whack. It now becomes a part of the whole narrative that we're telling all together. We've got this bit where it's like, okay, we're learning things as we're playing. So the variation isn't the issue. What you're worried about is these things are disconnected. And they are. They are in the outline. But that's fine. We will have plenty of opportunity when we write out each of these levels, when we create 5-room dungeons out of them, when we create 10-room dungeons, 15-room dungeons, whatever we do, we'll have plenty of opportunity to put the content back in there, on top. And that layering is what creates meaning. We fight the Naga, we fight the Death Knight, we fight the Beholder, Death Tyrant. We do all these things, and at the same time, when we're fighting the Death Tyrant starts by saying, I thought you'd be the dwarves again. And they go, oh, there were dwarves here? And you're no dwarves. And then we've got a little bit of dialogue, and they're going, what's going on with the dwarves? We don't know what's going on with the dwarves. We don't know the backstory that Daði's written down. We don't know all the different entrances and exits anyway. We don't have the dungeon map. We're trying to learn it. So the variation just becomes this fun flavor. Think of it like you're watching a TV episode and you're watching a TV show. The monster of the week in X-Files or Fringe, or I don't know what a modern Doctor Who, whatever the plot of the episode is, it's episodic, but the will they won't they couple are doing their thing, the overarching bad guy has a scene at the end. All of these things contribute and you'll like the TV show. And then whether or not you like the episode's specific storyline is a different question. But if you didn't like it, there's a new one next week. But the main story continues to hook you back in. Right? So the variation isn't the issue. The issue is just if things are disconnected, then we have a problem. That's a good question, Grandmaster Ruckus. What is keeping all of these various factions underground in such a dangerous place? I don't know. Maybe it's riches. Maybe they're all searching for different things. The Death Knight works for Vexor Deinonychus, so the Death Knight's probably fine with just serving Vexor Deinonychus. The Myconids would they're here because of they were pulled into this plane, or they're from the Underdark actually, and they're just annoyed with the Deep Dragon that's here because of some other reason, right? We can make all these different excuses. Why is the Death Tyrant here? I don't know. Why are there beholders? Don't they just get dreamed into existence? Purple worms just eating. Troglodytes have to hide out somewhere. They just live there. I think it's fine. The Hydra just lives there. I think it's fine. If it's a dumb enough creature, it's perfectly fine that it's just found a place to shelter and it's dangerous no matter where they go. But if it's a smart creature, we're gonna have to give him a reason to be there. The dwarf faction's trying to restore their empire. Absolutely, they're going to be in conflict with all of these guys, and they're probably going to create reasons for the players to be skeptical. Yeah, it's free real estate. Exactly. Well, I think this has been a pretty good outline. I think in the matter of about 2 hours, we sat down, we wrote down 780 words for a bunch of ideas. And you might be watching and going, yeah, but you cheated. You used chat, and you're correct. You might take a little bit longer to do this, but actually, I think also if you were to sit at home doing this and you would open up your monster manual, you might be flipping through and you might find things to inspire you. And that would be how I'd normally do it. I'd go sit down here with the monster manual and I go flipping through. And when I see stuff, I go, we're going to put this. And then I flip and we're going to put this. And that's how I'd go through the entire thing. Yeah, Skunky Bud, they're definitely fighting with each other. We can definitely put in all kinds of stuff, but we need them to... we also need them to be somewhat static so that we have an easy time running it. But we can simulate a bit of movement and stuff like that. We can create all that as we go. Jeremy Little, yeah, it's your question from earlier. How, follow up on Underdark as a separate plane. Why, how, was it created? Was it part of another material plane and split off? Is it a mirror plane? Now you're getting into the cosmology of my world, to which the question would be, to you, how would your character know any of that? If you are able to go find the answer, then power to you. But at the moment, the answer is unknown. I might have an answer, but why is the Feywild separate? Why is the Shadowfell a plane? You might need to find your own answer. If you feel like those questions need answers, you might need to find your own answer. But a perfectly valid question is what it is. Why is space out there? Why is there moon? Do those questions matter to the people in your world? Probably not. If you're just nerding out because you like asking funny, weird questions and thinking about them, I do that all the time. I have very ludicrously complicated answers for what the sky is in my world. But you don't need them. All you need is, a place to play and an adventure and a plot line. I spent a lot of time thinking about what the adventure is and not that much time thinking about what the setting is. You know what I mean? I believe that's it. Thanks so much for watching, everybody. This has been a fantastic time, and I'm planning on doing this again next Monday, I think. Hang on. Let me double check that. Double check I didn't put a session on next Monday. Yes, we'll be doing this again next Monday. We'll probably go to one of these levels and work out what they are. Maybe we'll go back to the Miro board and line things up. We'll see. Thanks to everybody who donated memberships. That's insanely generous. It's insanely generous. I don't really know what to say other than just the deepest thank you. Seriamon, you asked the question. Let me see if I can get to it. We're currently playing through Cursive Strahd in our group, and it's really, really good. Are there other pre-written modules on the Waterdeep Dragonheist that are good? I really like Baldur's Gate Descent into Avernus. If you want to go check that out, I really like the setting. I think the adventure is a little rough. There's a lot of dungeons in there, but if you might enjoy that. Why is Seriamon here? These are the questions we ask ourselves. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. This channel is run by me and my girlfriend, and if you're feeling like supporting the channel, like so many people did tonight, which I'm incredibly grateful to, you can go ahead and head over to our Patreon, where right now we're putting up our Hexcrawl rules, and throughout the month we'll be putting up dungeons and stuff like that. It'll also give you access to our Discord, where a whole bunch of people are constantly chatting away. And if you're feeling especially generous, you might like, comment, share, subscribe, and hit the bell to be notified when we release new videos. Until next time, keep studying the mystic arts.